So today's video is going to be a little bit more on the serious side. If you didn't know already, I had an ectopic pregnancy back in May. I had quite a few of you reach out and ask me how that's been going, if there's any information or updates. So I thought I would just do a video here to kind of update those of you who are interested in hearing what has been going on with all of my health. That's what this video is going to be. So basically, it has been a nightmare trying to get this test called the HSG. And this test, basically what it does is a catheter is stuck into the uterus. There is fluid that is administered into the uterus, and they take x-rays just to see how the fluid flows freely through the fallopian tubes and everything. And if it flows freely, then that's good. If it doesn't, then there might be an issue or some kind of blockage that could even require surgery or whatnot. So this test was important because I had the ectopic pregnancy. My OBGYN definitely said that this would be an important test for me to take, basically to be able to determine if this was like more of a freak thing or if this is something that might happen again. No matter what, once you have an ectopic pregnancy, you are more likely to have another one. But we just wanted to at least cover all of our bases just to see if there was anything going on, then we would know and we would take the appropriate steps to hopefully avoid this again. It was definitely one of, if not the worst experience of my life. So I really would love to avoid that at all costs if I'm able to. A lot of women have had to have multiple, and I feel for you and my heart goes out to you because going through the one was just already so hard. You know, I've been optimistic about the future, but let me tell you, this HSG test was quite a nightmare to finally have. I literally just did it today, so I still haven't actually met with my OB/GYN yet to discuss the results further, but at the end I'll tell you what the radiologist doctor told me at the appointment. So basically, let's rewind to how I got here today. Basically, after we found out that it was for sure an ectopic pregnancy, we had to try to treat it with a shot to avoid surgery. So I definitely opted to try the shot. I was very fortunate that the shot did work. It literally took about a month and a half though to get my levels back to normal, which was really hard emotionally as well because I was still actually pregnant for that entire time. So it wasn't until the end of June that I finally was no longer pregnant. I'm very thankful though that I didn't have to have the surgery because I know a lot of women have to have surgery when they have ectopic pregnancy and can a lot of times even lose a tube. So I still feel very fortunate that that didn't happen to me. So once I was back to zero, she wanted to see me in the office and discuss how to go from there. So I made an appointment with her like the first week of July. We discussed what we want to do from here, and she told me that she would want me to do the HSG test. And this is why she is no longer my OB. She definitely lost my trust. And you'll understand why in a moment. We had this whole conversation. Jeff was with me as well, and it was pretty quick, and she just told me like to schedule the HSG, and that once that was done we will go from there and see, as long as everything looks good, then I should probably be able to try again. So I met with her on a Thursday like afternoon. Later that night I had actually started my period, so I called Monday to schedule the test at the hospital, and they tell me that I had to be on my period to actually do this test. She had never told me that I had to be on my period to do this test. Never told Jeff. I was even talking to Jeff. I was like, did we miss this? But we really, the whole appointment was very short, no more than 5 to 10 minutes. She just basically told us like, this is our next step, and that was pretty much it. So you would think in that little amount of time telling us this is the next step, that one of the most important parts of this next step is that, hey, you need to be on your period to actually take this test. So I was pretty upset then at that point when the scheduler had told me. She was so sweet, the scheduler lady. Like, I feel like I want to send her like a thank you note, because she was like, I'm so sorry that like they didn't tell you, you know. She's like, there's really unfortunately nothing I can do because we're all booked up for the rest of the week, so I won't be able to fit you in before you won't be on your cycle anymore. And so she told me that I would need to call back the following month. So there's nothing more I can do. Obviously they can't take me, and it was all booked up. So I just said, all right, well, I will call back. So I go about my life, and whatever, it is what it is. There's nothing I can do. Of course, I already kind of felt at that point I didn't have as much trust with her because I feel like she wasn't communicative to me. And so I don't know if she had like bias. I don't want to just say she had bias against me or not, but I mean, I just definitely feel like she did not care for me the way that I should have been. So I did decide to go ahead and try out this new OB that I actually saw during my ectopic pregnancy. He was really great. He seemed really friendly, knowledgeable. So I'm gonna go ahead and try him out now from now on. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself now. I call back to the scheduler in August once I'm on my period again. Literally the first day, like I start and I'm like, oop, calling. So I call, get it scheduled. She's asking me all these questions, and then we get to a question about how much I weigh, and I tell her, and she said, oh my goodness. She goes, you're 20 pounds over the weight limit for this test. And I'm like, did my OB not know the weight limit at your hospital? And she said, well, she should have, considering it's actually, this hospital is like connected with this doctor's office. You know, some hospitals are like not connected or whatever, but this is connected. So they definitely like know this kind of information, especially when this is her specialty. The scheduler was like, yeah, she should have known. She knows your weight. She knows the weight limit at this hospital, and you're just over it. So basically then I was in a pickle because it was Friday again, of course. Like I keep starting my period on a Friday, which is pretty inconvenient when you're trying a time sensitive thing like this. So I tried to call my doctor's office and get them to send the paperwork. She said they're literally the only hospital in the area that has a weight limit this low. All the other hospitals, I'm 100 or 200 pounds below the weight limit. But just this one particular hospital that is connected with the OB was just at my weight, unfortunately. So she said, call your OB. Like, she was so sweet again. She was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, I wish I would have known, because like, you know, she was the one who talked to me the original time, but like she didn't know my weight. Like, that's not her job. She just schedules the appointment. So, but she was like as sweet as can be. She told me about 3 different hospitals that she knew had higher weight limits. So she was just really sweet, and she was like, don't worry about it, you're beautiful just the way you are. Like, there are plenty of other places that will accommodate you. Unfortunately, we're literally the only one that doesn't have a higher weight limit. Everywhere else has all these higher weight limits. So I was like, okay, well, I appreciate you so much. Like, she was so sweet. So then I get a hold of the doctor's office. She takes literally forever to finally get back to me. It was like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so most places are closing by that point. We sent it over to hospitals in Seattle. So then I'm just like, okay, what a relief. I can call, I can make this appointment. So I call just about 4:30. They kind of close appointments scheduling down about 5. So I call, and then they tell me that they do not have a nurse that will be available to help make this HSG test happen until the end of September. I was like, really? Like, no one can do it? They're like, unfortunately, no, not by the time that you would need it. Like, they're gonna come back by the end of August, but obviously I would already be, you know, done with my cycle, so I wouldn't be able to actually do it until my September cycle. So then unfortunately I ran into another roadblock, because then by the time I tried to transfer it to yet another hospital, they already were booked up for the rest of that week in my cycle. So I was so frustrated again. So I had her send the referral to like all the hospitals in the area, so that when I called in September, I could call them all back to back to back and get an appointment somewhere and not have this happen yet again, because I already had 2 months then mess me up because of not being informed properly the first time. Well, really both times, because, you know, she should have known not to refer me to that hospital. So I was already pretty frustrated, obviously, not knowing what and if might be wrong with me, wanting to know what and if might be wrong. Those of you who've went through issues like this, or any kind of health issues, when you're waiting to find out what may or may not be wrong with you, it's stressful. It always kind of is on the back of your mind, and then just keep having these delays. So finally I was able to get in September. Here we are. Finally got my test done. So I went in for the test. I was a little nervous because I heard that it was kind of painful, but you know, it is what it is. I'm ready to push through the pain, because obviously this is something I really want to do and need to do so I could hopefully have children in the future. The nurses were like, couldn't be sweeter. It's so nice to know there is still really good nurses and doctors that don't just like see a number on the scale and just judge you because of it, because they were so sweet and accommodating, helping me whatever I needed to, especially when it came to holding up my legs. They were so sweet, because even the nurses said like the way that the stirrups were on the bed were not fat friendly, not even really anyone friendly, because they were flush with the bed. So you basically had to have your legs like level with your hips on like the sides of you, with your bottom pushed all the way to the end of the bed. And so that is not so easy to do when you're larger. So instead I had to, you know, have the legs up and at them. The nurses were just so sweet and helpful, and you know, they administered the test. I had some cramping because basically like a balloon goes in there and it's pretty uncomfortable. Just like, it basically is just like severe period cramps is how it is. And then the radiologist comes in, he administers the fluid, they take the x-rays, and then he tells me that the fluid was flowing freely, which is great news because then they didn't detect any blockages. And obviously I'll still need to actually have my meeting with my OB to see if there's anything else, well, with my new OB to see if there's anything else that we might need to do before moving forward with hopefully getting to try again. Already that's a great news though, because that was the big thing, is if there was blockage, you know, there obviously we might have had to do who knows what. So I'm already just like so happy today, even though I've been in pain today and uncomfortable, and it's been a stressful couple months trying to get this test finally to happen. It has all been worth it to hear this today. I'm feeling very optimistic for the future. If you guys want to hear more updates, let me know. This is kind of like a warning also to anyone who might be watching it. If you ever have to do this test, make sure you're on your cycle. Like, immediately call to schedule it as soon as you're on your cycle. Check weight limits beforehand so you don't run into a predicament like I did. Transfer your referral to another hospital that can accommodate you, because there should be able to, like I said, this was literally the only hospital in the entire area that had a lower weight limit. All the rest were much higher. Hopefully the next time I talk about anything to do with fertility, it's announcing my pregnancy. So let's cross our fingers and our toes and hope for the best on that. And thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you did enjoy this story time / update. And I will see you guys in the next video. And remember to just be you. Bye guys.